Hello, AKAPADers, and welcome to the 31 Days of Dread, Day 31, dropping on October 31st. I am all caught up. It's been a journey, a lot of setbacks this month, but we're completing our blocks, and we have 90s horror icon revivals, ending with Wolf. Now, Wolf is directed by Mike Nichols, starring Jack Nicholson. A lot of people bash this movie. It also has Michelle Pfeiffer. That's right, the Catwoman's in this movie. I remember when this movie came out. It was somewhat heightened for its sexuality. That was somewhat of a highlight of the movie. A lot like last year's Cat People. If you go back to Cat People, this movie echoes so much with of the mood and the idea of Cat People, but it's a better movie than Cat People. It's designed, it's awesome, nearly perfect. We got Dallas just rummaging around us. Let's hit that music, let's hit that intro, and let's just jump right to it. I absolutely love the poster for this movie. It just screams early Photoshop, early graphic design, or early what would become graphic design, because here we go, coming up with a rain here. Graphic design was when it was optical, when you use optical cameras to capture what the designer would lay out on its proof or paper or whatever, optically. And then graphic design, I feel like, really emerged into the culture and lexicon, two words I use a lot, maybe overusing, and essentially it just became more prevalent and better and more available. And this movie poster, and it's just awesome. It's like a split face. We have one side Jack Nicholson, the other side Michelle Pfeiffer. We have like a purplish sunrise, or sunset, right? It's got to be sunset, and Wolf is like in yellow, so it's like it's the Los Angeles Lakers yellow. It's just cool stuff, and Jack Nicholson is a huge LA Lakers fan, and here's the funny thing. Jack Nicholson, Mike Nichols, they have a history. They go back to Carnal Knowledge. Carnal Knowledge is one of your all-time movies, just when it comes to sex of an age, what sex meant in an era. And we have Michelle Pfeiffer, who is the maybe sex icon of her time. Completely beautiful. Still beautiful today. I mean, if you watch, Ant-Man and the Wasp, she is Jane Foster. No, not Jane Foster. She's she's one of those superheroes, and she plays the original Wasp. It's still her look, her appearance still holds up. So why did I wait for this one? Well, look, I had another movie planned for this, and it just didn't. It's off of Prime. I can't watch it, and I also skipped a day. And this year, I was moving in blocks. I wanted to block everything together and just do two movies that were related. And I thought it would just make the programming a little bit more challenging. So, here we are. And I'm 50-50 on if I should do like a Redux Day 15 tomorrow on November 1st. And if I did that, it would be the Terminator, because everything is Terminator. Dark Fate now, it is getting raped, strung through the coals. Okay, rape, probably the wrong word for that. But I feel like I feel like when people dogpile on movies, I really feel like that's what's happening. I feel like there's a lot of effort that gets lost, and people just like to simplify it, and they take on the high horse, and they take down the movie. Speaking of the teardown, the universal teardown of Terminator Dark Fate, this movie somewhat had that. This movie, when it came out, there was an idea that this movie was violent and sexual. Like I said, a lot like Cat People from last year. The thing is, though, it is and it's not, okay? Previous episode, I alluded to that Wolf had a perfect pairing with with another movie, and it wasn't a horror movie. That movie is Basic Instinct, and okay, that the music alone for Basic Instinct, and the music for this movie, it's incredible. It really is. We have Nino Morialso. I butchered that name. Okay, the music for Wolf. It's a character of itself. It lends itself to so many more moments when we're building into scenes and coming out of scenes. Now, when people go to Jack Nicholson's great performances, we have a lot. It's hard to rate this movie within Nicholson's performances. And when it even comes to Mike Nichols, our director, it's hard to put this movie in his lineup, because this guy, it's nonstop. It's not only nonstop hits, it's nonstop great or solid movies. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? The Graduate, Catch-22, Carnal Knowledge, Day of the Dolphin. I'm just going through movies of his that I've seen. Silkwood, Heartburn, Biloxi Blues, Working Girl, Postcards from the Edge, Regarding Henry, Wolf, The Birdcage, Primary Colors, Closer, Charlie Wilson's War. That was his latest movie. Mike Nichols died in 2014. R.I.P. Master, genius, one of the best of his time, arguably within, like pound for pound, maybe easily one of the best all time. Top 10 filmmaker right here. So, what's the idea? How does someone so decorated, two people so decorated, how does Jack Nicholson and why would they land in Wolf? 1994. Why would they land in Wolf? Because this movie is not about a wolf man. This is a movie about a character, Jack Nicholson. Will Randall. According to Wikipedia, Will Randall. The beginning of the movie, he gets bit by a wolf. And he slowly gets his life back. He slowly gains control over his life. This guy is complacent. He becomes an animal within society, and because so, is able to get control of his wife. He has a cheating wife. He's getting rubbed out of his job. He works for a publisher. The young bucks are throttling him or marching all over him. And he's going to get it back. The young buck in this movie, masterfully played by James Spader. And then, we get into some murders. Jack Nicholson, runs through Times Square a couple times, kills a couple, all these things you expect. Jack Nicholson doesn't turn into a werewolf. He is just a hairy version of Jack Nicholson, which is fine. It's perfect. That's what this movie needs. And then we have to hit the third act. We need resolution. We got to wrap it up. I really hate third acts in movies, because this movie wants to be a drama. This movie wants to be even a little bit of social commentary. Oh, give me 1 second. I'm so sorry about that. I was watching a documentary called Swiped. The age of online dating. And it's so annoying when you watch it on Xfinity, which is Comcast. It's a Comcast thing. It goes right into television if you pause it. Like, it goes into whatever I don't watch TV, so anyway. Yeah, so the third act of this movie, we need a resolution. We need Jack Nicholson to come out on top. So they kind of wedge James Spader to be another werewolf who's setting up Jack Nicholson, kills his wife, or his estranged wife, or his separated wife. And then, in a horse barn in Michelle Pfeiffer's estate, her daddy's house, because her daddy is the one who bought Jack Nicholson's book company and wanted to fire him. They James Spader and Jack Nicholson get into a wolf-on-wolf fight, which is like, it's good, it is what it is, and we're kind of left with a crime scene that is just it's how would Michelle Pfeiffer explain any of this away? But the point though is that along the way she also gets bitten, and that the hook at the end of this movie is very much like Cat People. I would really I think Cat People and Wolf is another fantastic pairing. But it's we have this idea that the animal inside of us guides us, becomes us, and her and him are closer at the end of this movie because they're linked, and it's a solid ending. It's somewhat romantic. I think it works. The third act of this movie hurts. It really does. But it's still entertaining, the characters, the drama within, the drama with Jack Nicholson's work, the detectives trying to unravel a little bit what's happening. They're sniffing around, pun intended, Jack Nicholson, and it's kind of like there's enough momentum to carry you through the third act, and that is by design, and that is from a master storyteller. Look, Mike Nicholson has a huge stage background. He knows to kind of let these actors do their thing. One might say breathe. He lets these actors breathe, and we're interested enough going into the third act. This by no means is a horror movie standard of a third act. This third act could be, like a courtroom drama. It could be a interrogation scene. I think it would work just the same. But this movie also defines the Wolfman. It's this idea. It's simpler. It's more. It's less violent. It's not. It's more abstract. See, everything else is you transform into a giant wolf guy and you start lopping off heads. No. Some of the horror, the reasons why these movies are horror, they're classified, is because they kind of they view into the twisted psyche, the twisted humanity. The hubris of us and the decisions we make and the circumstances put upon us, and a lot of times it's unfair and it's hurt and it hurts and it's hurtful. This movie is all about that. I think the ideas and the themes of this movie are the deepest of all of the Wolfman movies. It's not. Like I said, it's not this glossy American Werewolf in London transformation scene or anything. The transformation stuff in this movie, or the transformation moments, are meaningless to the characters. And I think that's where it becomes important. And and it becomes 90s. It becomes a bigger idea. It becomes more than what it should be. That's a lot of what 90s filmmaking was all about. And this is why we do the 31 Days of Dread. This is why you're listening to me now on AKAPAD's Audio Audacity podcast, because we're about figuring this stuff out, the long-form conversation, and dedicating ourselves to these movies to where we have to watch them more times. Now, I sat down, and one of these things I've been doing, I said this a couple episodes ago. Why do I not like this movie? Why do I think differently about this movie? And you think, and you're like, you know what? I don't even remember the plot of this movie. I barely remember what happens. I remember a few scenes. Let me go back in fresh, okay, and re-explore it. And usually, you see it differently. Now, it was the same with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where every time I sat down with that movie, I'm like, why do I not like this movie? Because everyone says Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is blah. And you go in and you're thinking it's blah, and you're like, holy crap, this movie is so complete, deep Shakespearean perfect. And people are like, Pete, you say everything's like perfect. Look, that's yes and no. That's true and false. When I say something's perfect, I don't mean that it's flawless. I mean it executes on the level of like art where, we're involved, we're invested, it moves us. We do a brain dump. Cinema has its claws in us. That's really how I classify a perfect movie. Now, some movies are perfect. Field of Dreams, Exorcist. I got a list for those. But, Wolf is worth checking out. It's worth studying. Just for the music alone. This is one of the great score. Great score. Check it out. Wolf. Signing off for the 31 Days of Dread. Day 31. Thank you so much for joining me with this year. Everyone, thank you, because we're trending up on all the networks that I can tell we are. It's hard to tell with some of them. And that's why I love doing this too, because I love the listens. But no. I do this because I really do have a love for movies, and I do appreciate every one of you. So thanks, and let's get back to normal numbering, because we should be at episode 250 next. Isn't that crazy? AKAPAD's All Your Audacity, episode 250 coming up, and I'm probably going to do a recap episode, and then I'm going to do Terminator. So Terminator will be episode 251. Let's do this. I'll talk to you later.